between Ray Reardon and Charlton. Last night, Ray Reardon came back after a bad start to go home to bed leading 4-3. Well, today they took it almost frame by frame. And as they came to the last they played in the session, Eddie Charlton was, in fact, at 6-7. And here he's just 4-0 down in the 14th.
Six. Seven.
And that was a pretty good shot. Not easy to get back to the blue there, and chance for Eddie to open the reds off this blue now. Fortunately for Eddie, the black won't go into the left-hand corner pocket, so going to have to come round again for the pink or the blue. Plenty of top on the white.
Eighteen. $26. $27.
Well, he's underhit that one a little, but the red's
34.
Not too difficult, and Eddie will really open the rest of the reds up here when he pops, or if he pops this one to the right-hand corner pocket.
35.
And now in very good position.
$38. 29. $44. $45.
One good positional shot here, up onto the 4 reds clustered between the pink and black spots, and Charlton will be in prime position to clinch this important frame.
$49. $50.
A 46-point lead in the frame which Charlton needs to be 2 frames in front at the interval.
And Charlton,
Perhaps not so much the difficulty of the shot, but its significance, defeating Charlton then. He does so much want that 2-frame lead.
$1. $8. Ray Reardon, 8.
Reardon,
Eddie Charlton, 50. Ray Reardon, 12.
Reardon has shown signs of feeling the pressure very much in the last 2 frames. And that was terrible luck for Charlton. A diabolical kick on that red. The red went straight on almost, rather than at the angle that it should have gone. And although referee Len Ganley has lost no time in cleaning the cue ball, it is for Charlton a little bit a case of bolting the stable door after the horse has bolted.
$1.
Well, Ray a bit fortunate to get a second bite at the cherry here in this frame.
8.
And the only thing in Charlton's favour is that the 2 reds in the baulk area
9.
will need a bit of work for Ray to winkle them out. Always assuming he gets this one on the back cushion.
$16. 24.
Key shot coming up. And if Reardon has shown a little frailty of nerve in the last two frames, there's certainly no frailty now.
32. 34. 37. 41.
Blue and pink still needed, and every prospect of getting them from this position.
46.
'The black didn't matter, but what preceded it most certainly did. A fine 59 clearance by Ray Reardon enables him to reach the end of the second session level at 7 frames all.
That's where they resume tonight with Eddie Charlton trying to regain the lead, and we resume at Stockport.
Very good break-off shot by Reardon, giving Charlton some heavy thinking. There is a possible plant on, and in the absence of any alternative, that may be his best bet.
That looks just about right for Ray to take red in the left-hand corner on the black. Bring it into play.
14. 15. 20. 21. 26. 27. 34. 35.
And as Reardon knocks the pink clear of the pack, he continues in the same way that he ended the last frame, when a superb break of 94 was unfortunately concluded by an in-off.
And Ray electing, I think, not to take the pink there because he's going to be looking for an angle on this next shot to open the reds, and pink might have been in his way if he'd have got it on the spot, and shows Ray suddenly is now thinking absolutely right and positive and really playing superb snooker at the moment.
Forty-one.
'Still not easy to open the pack.
Forty-four.
'But it's open now. And although this hasn't been quite the explosive stuff we've been seeing from Jimmy White and Alex Higgins, this break has been masterly in its control.
$55. $56.
Well, not quite as he played it, but it's not turned out too badly. Think the red at just at the back of the pink there, the red nearest the back cushion of those three will possibly go into the corner pocket. Although he doesn't look to have absolutely the right angle on the blue. Oh, a delightful shot.
Just this simple red to make sure that Charlton needs a snooker.
$69. $70. $77.
End of break, but what a break it's been. Absolutely exemplary in its control, and how well Reardon has played in the last two frames. He could afford that. He'd won the frame. Reardon leads by 10 frames to 8.
Well, the time for the players' interval. They have 4 more to play. We'll be back for them later. Just in case the news hasn't reached you yet, the result of our shot of the championship competition, B-J-A. B was Ray Reardon's snooker, J was Alex Higgins's lovely shot on the blue where he then put the pink into position, and A was Virgil's cut on the green. 296 out of almost $250,000 got it right. And out of the cup today, Fred Davis picked Ian Broadhurst from South Reddish near Stockport. Well done, Ian. We'll see you over the weekend. We hope to see you when you come back for the 4 frames after news night. Ray Reardon, for the first time, 2 up. Welcome back to our final programme of the evening here, and welcome back to the semi-final, featuring Ray Reardon and Eddie Charlton. Now, just before the interval tonight, Ray Reardon had really got the cue working. He'd put in breaks of 94 and 77 to go ahead for the first time in the match by 2 frames, 10-8. And then, after the interval, we had the familiar pattern of Eddie Charlton closing the gap to make it 10-9. That left them 3 to play tonight, and in this programme, we'll be watching all 3. Here's the 20th frame. Vera Selby and Jack Carnham are commentating. Reardon has already had a break of 42, and he leads 43-10.
It's never easy cueing from that sort of position, and he couldn't afford to play it powerfully, and in playing it slowly missed it. And yet another opportunity here for Eddie Charlton, which he's just got to take advantage of now. 34 points behind.
Four. Fine. Eleven.
Well, Charlton eyeing the red that he's thinking about in 2 shots' time. He's got to get the right angle on the next colour after this red. And could have done with a little more pace just to get slightly straighter on the blue. He's got to make sure he gets the pot here. See there, the blue, it was a little thinner contact than he wanted, which means that he couldn't really pull the cue ball
17.
round towards the red. And a very crucial double there, which players don't like playing, puts him in with a chance here. So just 14 points behind now. Anybody's game. Well, this one, he's got to be careful with this. Not easy.
And he's showing the same sort of determined, steady play that he did last frame when he cleaned up. He looks very much like doing the same here.
44 all, so both players needing both balls. And that black is certainly not easy. Well, he's looking at a possible double, but who knows? This is a very big frame for Charlton. No problems with the pink. Oh, and he's trying to nudge the black. Oh, and that is bad luck. He's given it a nudge, and I don't think he can cut it in. That really is rough justice. And there you can see, he cannot get that black thick enough, so I'm sure he's got to play safe here. So it's 10-9 at the moment, and all on the black. And Ray breathing a wee bit easier after that.
Charlton, 40.
Well, he could play safe there, obviously, and that was all he could do, and I think he would have felt a little happier with the cue ball rather nearer the bottom cushion.
Well, oh, and Ray had a go at that, and a very brave shot indeed. And so Charlton now has a chance of a very fine cut into the corner pocket. This is not as easy as it may look under these circumstances. Could be missed.
And of course the possibility of an in-off jack too, isn't there, with having to cut it thin and put quite a lot of pace on the ball.
So 10 frames all. Tremendous frame.
Well, no one would argue with that comment, would they? A tremendous frame contributing to what has now become a tremendous match. 11 more frames scheduled, 2 more tonight. Here's the next with Reardon at the table, the details spelt out for us all to see.
Ray had to put considerable swerve on that cue ball to pot that available red. And it was a very good shot, but it hasn't afforded him the easiest of positions on a colour. And that was a very good green. He really had to commit himself to it, and having done so, is in a pretty favourable position now.
Fine. 16. 17.
So Reardon takes a 1-point lead.
22. 23. 30. 31. 38. 39. 42. 43. 45. 46.
And this pink into the centre pocket. Clears the red. And so that very excellent swerve shot that Ray started the break with
52.
has borne fruit to the extent that he looks like taking this frame.
53.
'So Charlton,
60.
real trouble. And Ray making no mistake, is going to win this one. And not looking too disturbed. So in goes the black for a delightful 93 clearance, for which Ray gets a splendid round of applause and goes into a lead of 11 frames to 10.
And that's the third time in this semi-final that Reardon has had a break of 90 plus. 2 93s and a 94, just the sort of performance you want as you go into the last frame of the night. Eddie Charlton's had the first red down, Reardon at the table.
Well, that didn't come off as well as he hoped it would. I think he hoped to split the reds open a little more, but there is an available red there, and he's just got to do a bit more work to get onto a colour.
7.
Still some work to do, getting the wrong side of the blue and having to go up and down, but got beautifully onto one available red there. But he's having to work pretty hard at this. Positions aren't coming very easily to him at the moment.
Three.
I think Ray's having a look here to see just what's going to happen to the pack. I think he's got just enough angle maybe to shift the reds around a little here. Well, that's not good enough, and he's a wee bit exasperated with that one.
Yes, this break's been very hard work for Ray all the way along. He hasn't got favourable position time and time again, and yet he's managed to pick out a red, pick out a colour, and he'll be very, very fortunate if he finds something here. He's having a good look, but it seems as if safety might have to be the order of the day. Well, looked as if he did find one, but with a certain amount of safety in mind. goes down to ball.
Well, both players now showing a lot of caution. This is the last frame of the day, and Reardon has the opportunity of sleeping on a 2-frame lead, and Charlton, I'm sure, will be delighted if he can do the same, being all square. Well, he can play this one into the middle. No. Oh, he's settled for safety, trailing by 28 points. Well, he's going to try and come off about 3 or 4 cushions here. And that's where he wanted to get, but without hitting the pink first.
And the additional bonus of a touching ball, of course, gives Eddie Charlton the opportunity to play straight away from that pack, having already deemed to have hit a red as it's touching. It's much easier to plan your safety stroke when you're in that position rather than have to hit a red. Well, it could have been better, and of course he was a little hampered by having to cue over the reds.
it's come rather awkward. Ray's got to pull the cue ball clear of the pink, which will disturb the pack. And there you see he's pushed one out, and that's the very thing he wanted to avoid. But I think he's covered by the blue, so he'll be pleased about that anyway.
He's further hampered, of course, with the pink, which doesn't allow him to come off the right-hand side of the cluster of reds. May possibly be looking to play one red onto the other to disturb them, but it's a lot of danger in that sort of shot. And there was the danger, but fortunate.
And that was a real pressure blue there. Now, Charlton just trailing by 22 points, and a splendid opportunity here. If he can just snick this red in, not lose control of the cue ball. And that gave you a very good indication of just how tricky that shot was.
$13.
Just a couple of awkward
18.
reds straddling the black.
And a tremendous lot of pressure on Eddie here. He knows how vital it is to win this frame and try and level the scores. Every shot's a pressure shot when you're at that stage.
24.
Now this pink could give him just the angle he requires here. Just a soft screw on this pink. And there goes the pink. Oh, and there goes the red. A lovely little shot. Still got to clip it very fine,
31.
but improve the position of it.
Yes, that really was an excellent shot. He had to make sure of the pink, but of course very anxious to continue the break, and he does actually have the choice of either red here. He's debating which to take, and it looks as if the one to the top pocket's his favourite.
32.
So he goes 4 points ahead. And a trifle straight on the pink. He would like to have had a little more angle to get closer to the red. He squeezed it across very well, though.
38.
Well, the black doesn't matter, so he's got a fairly set of open balls here.
And Eddie goes in this very humid atmosphere to wipe his hands and the cue. Very determined, making absolutely sure he's right to secure this vital frame.
So 21 the lead and 22 on the table. So all he needs to do is make sure that brown goes in and get the cue ball a little closer to the blue. And that's it.
53.
And a very, very excellent break of 53 so far. And that's the one. So we're going to end this terrific struggle, proving to be a really wonderful match at 11 frames all. And Charlton rejects the black, and a good handshake, and it's 11 frames each after a wonderful session.
Well, a long day for those two players. They now have just one session left. That will be played here tomorrow afternoon. 9 frames are scheduled, and of course those 9 frames will decide a finalist in the Championship of the World. So our late night check on the semi-finals. Ray Reardon and Eddie Charlton, absolutely all square. 11 frames all, and I would bet that will go to the last frame, but we will see tomorrow. And Alex Higgins and Jimmy White in the match that produced the fastest snooker the World Championship has ever seen this afternoon. Alex Higgins coming back from a terrible position to take 3 in a row and to pull himself back to just that 1 frame deficit. Alex Higgins 7, Jimmy White 8. They have 2 more sessions scheduled, and they're both played here tomorrow. So there we are then. The finalists will be known here tomorrow. And for you late night snooker fans, if you're the people who are unable to watch any snooker until late night,
can now win just 22 points in it, 25 points on the table. muttering something under his breath, and I can imagine what that is.
Three. 7. 12. 18 and 3.
For the third time, then, Ray Reardon this afternoon takes the frame, now leading 14 frames to 11, and needing 2 frames to put himself into the final.
Well, Ted, this must be the worst session, I think, of snooker we've seen up to now in this match. Ray must be absolutely delighted to be 3 frames up, because he's not played very well at all. And I think he owes the 3 frames mainly to the run of the balls. And a tremendous amount of running here. Everything Eddie's done has been wrong. Whenever Eddie's missed a pot, it's been over the pocket. Ray has broken the reds up many a time and left Eddie safe. And I think, in fact, Ted, this is the first time that Ray's gone 3 ahead.
Yes, I think that's correct, John. He in fact lost the first 3 frames of this match and then won the next 4, and he's sort of been 1 in front and 2 in front ever since, but this is the first time he's had a 3-frame advantage.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. 26th frame. Ray Reardon to break.
Referee Lenganyu then
Ray
calls
Reardon
everybody
leads
to order.
14 frames to 11.
Lenganyu then
Ray
calls
Reardon
everybody
leads
to order.
14 frames to 11.
Into the 26th frame.
One. 6. 7.
Reardon away again here.
Ray Reardon, 14.
Queuing very awkwardly there to get that red into the centre, but don't think Eddie can do much about this.
Well, I think in actual fact, Ted, he's left area red this time into the right-hand corner pocket, screwing down for the blue.
Dear, dear.
It's all happening today, friend Ted.
Yes. And the mutterings are getting stronger, I feel.
1. Eight. 9. 16.
And this being the last loose red now, we'll try and leave an angle on this black to break the pack up after potting the black.
17. 24.
And this is when they're running for you, Ted. Just one red coming to the only spot he could get out of those reds, and lined up for the middle pocket.
Yes, John, that was very fortunate.
Thirty-one. 36. 37.
'Disaster, this, for
44.
Charlton.
Yes, and I think this is Ray's highest break this session, Ted. Up to now, 44, and still an easy red into the corner pocket.
45.
Another nice angle on the black to go off the back cushion into those 6 reds.
One red, and Eddie Charlton will require snookers.
60. 61. 66. 67.
And looks perfect to split those three reds here.
Possible 123 here.
$80. 81. 88. 89.
'Just the 6 colours to go. The only difficult one is the pink.
98.
'And that's not a good shot, having to cut this green with a lot of left-hand side to stay on the brown. Difficult shot, this.
Well, what a contrast this frame has been against the last one. Reardon just misses the snooker century. It would have been the 12th had he made it, but running in off, he fails at 98. But he's had a marvellous start this afternoon by taking the first 4 frames from the Australian champion Eddie Charlton, and now leads 15 frames to 11.
Well, who would have forecast that here this afternoon, watching those frames live with us. And Ray Reardon now just 1 frame away from a place in the final. And the statistics will show you that Ray Reardon has never lost a final. He's won the championship of the world 6 times. Nobody's ever beaten him once he's reached a final. And I must say that, looks now, Eddie Charlton's got a real uphill task. Ray Edmonds has been watching it here with me this afternoon. Ray, would you have thought that could happen? Did you see any definite change in Ray Reardon's plan before that session started?
No, not at all, really. As I say, he got off to a good start, but as John Spencer said early on, he's not been playing really well. But he must have heard John criticising before he made that big break, I think. You know, I think he must have had somebody telling him, because that was superb.
There were a number of occasions going back to the early part of that session when I saw you sort of shaking your head a little bit at the way Eddie Charlton was playing. He'd had 2 or 3 chances in more than 1 frame to get in and hadn't done so.
That's right. He frame before last, the 24th frame, 25th frame, he really had a good chance to win. He was a few behind, but he had a good chance to win. And I think if he's going to have any chance of beating Ray, when he gets a chance to, like, there's about 4 reds left on, and he went in off. It's a bit unlucky, but really he played a a kind of imprecise shot, a bit loosely, and I don't think you can afford to miss them against Ray Reardon.
Interesting point you were making at the time, not so much that he'd played the shot incorrectly to go in off, but even if it hadn't gone in off, you couldn't see what he was playing at.
Well, yeah, I think he'd played absolutely to make sure of the red, rather than playing a definite position shot. You know, it makes the pot red a little harder to play the white exactly, but Eddie, you know, perhaps, I mean, he's 2 or 3 frames behind, he's under a lot of pressure out there, and probably wanted to make absolutely sure, but I feel he's got to really play precise snooker and definite snooker if he's going to have a chance of getting back into the game.
Of course, he's tried so many times against Ray Reardon. Twice Ray's beat him in a final, beaten him the last time he got to the semi-finals. Do you think there's a psychological thing about it? I mean, we all know Eddie, he walks around and he says, I prepare for this and I don't want... But I wonder if you think it goes through his mind, it is Reardon again.
I think he's got to, yeah. I think there's a lot of psychology in snooker, and players do remember matches against other players, and I mean, Eddie must remember his battles with Ray. Crikey, they've had enough.
But Ray Reardon, of course, is now a completely different man out there. I mean, he's had trouble in the early part of the match in concentrating, but watching him there, it's the old Ray Reardon. He's enjoying every ball, walking off and smiling to the crowd and really into the match. And I can't see how Eddie Charlton's going to... I mean, he's come back before, but can you see it happening?
You're putting me on the spot.
I am, yes.
No, I can't. You know, I think Ray going off with that break obviously is going to feel very good. And I mean, he's won 4 frames. It would be asking the world to ask Eddie to win 5 straight frames now.
Of course, we'll be coming back to watch that later on, but of course tonight we've got a very different kettle of fish, haven't we? Alex Higgins and Jimmy White, they're locked together at 11 frames all. I mean, could you ever see 2 more contrasting semi-finals than that?
No, and the peculiar thing, they were both 11-11 before the last session started. Right. So, no, I think we've got, you know, this is the fascination of snooker, and they've got the speed merchants in one half, and it's going to be good.
Going to be good, and you couldn't sum it up better than that. We'll be back here with Frame of the Day at 6:40, and of course tonight we've got Higgins and White playing to a finish as well, but it's been a great day of snooker. I think there's even more to come, so join us if you can at Frame of the Day with Ray Reardon now just 1 frame away from a place in the final of the world.
And it really is quite extraordinary, the run of the balls against Charlton this afternoon.
Yes, that was a bit unlucky, Ted. I think he thought it would catch one of the other balls.
Six. Seven. Twelve. $13. $18.
He's looking at a plant, and this is certainly an ambitious shot.
Ray Reardon, 18.
24 points on the board then for Reardon.
One. Seven. Eight. Thirteen. 14. 19.
'Eddie looking at the shaft of the wrist. I don't know whether he wants that straight. And now he's looking at his own cue.
Twenty-five.
Well, that when Eddie was just looking at the cue there, that's something that Eddie does quite often actually, and just straightens it a little bit. Obviously, because he's under such pressure and having a bad time, just a little bit worried about it at the moment. Something that we've never seen him do actually on the screen before, but straightens his cue like that almost every day.
Thirty-two. 33.
'Indian music.
39.
Well, Eddie there just got onto the wrong side of the blue, had to force the cue ball round. Red's nicely open, but hasn't quite got on the reds as he would have liked. Just a little bit more danger now than there should have been. Well, that was a nice break there from Eddie, but I'm sure that he will feel that he should have made more from it. It was a bad shot when he got on the wrong side of the blue and could be a bit costly.
Six.
Down now to the last three reds.
This is a tricky one.
7.
Didn't get the best of positions there, Ray, with that tricky red, but he can just clip this blue into the centre pocket.
Thirteen.
The score's all square.
20.
Not easy to get on the yellow from this black. Just make sure of the highest valued ball.
Oh, that's a cracking shot on the yellow, but not easy to get onto the brown. Certainly not easy even to pot the greens. Bit of a cut, but getting onto the brown will be very difficult. Well, that's an absolute marvellous shot. And that could be the match-winning shot.
He's the wrong side of the blue. That's the one that counts. Eddie Charlton, then, who has fought so long and so hard to win the world title, sees, in fact, the semi-final now slide away from him as... Ray Reardon, then, a very popular character.
Ray, I'm not sure whether you're clutching your heart or your wallet there.
I feel much better now, David, than I did then, I can assure you.
It still really gets to you, doesn't it?
Yes, well, this game will always get to the players of the game. It's so frustrating at times.